Today on the Riff, we talk about New Year's resolutions. Or is it New Year's goals? I think it's something related to New Year's. Happy New Year, Riff Raff.
Riff, welcome to another episode
where we riff
on the Raff. Riff
Raff Street Rat.
Is this one of your nicknames as well?
No, it's a Disney movie.
What? Riff Raff Street Rat?
Riff Raff Street Rat. I don't buy that. What movie is that from?
What in the world? Ratatouille.
No.
I don't know.
Aladdin.
Dude, you know I didn't grow up watching Disney movies.
You know, man.
Yeah, you know that about my past.
Yeah, were you not a non-Disney family?
Yeah, well, we were, I don't know if the word's poor. We were cheap, and so, no, we didn't have cable.
Yeah.
I mean, when we'd go to hotels every once in a while, because we'd always go on a vacation each year.
Yeah.
So I guess that doesn't make it,
Yeah.
We would stay in a hotel, and the best thing ever, I'd be like, one, I want to go swim, and then two, we have access to the Disney Channel.
Disney Channel.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Now my brain is mostly like half my brain is movie quotes and song lyrics. I can't remember anything else.
I have noticed that about every one of our meetings starts with a video from YouTube that someone has to pull up because you made a reference and I haven't seen it.
Yeah. So far we've hit Chris Farley and El Nino in Saturday Night Live. I am El Nino. Then we hit a little Happy Gilmore. That was the one from yesterday.
I have seen that one,
but
but I don't know if I can pull out these references the way that you do.
Well, the thing is, like, you have a brain, like most people, their music and movie references, like from the time they were like 16 to like 25, like whatever was the thing in that age range.
I agree.
That's why, people in their, 60s go back to 70s, 80s music or 60s music, so like they always go back to the genre of when they were young and cool. Well, when I was young and cool, it was Chris Farley and Adam Sandler and a lot of punk rock emo music.
Well, that's honestly a great clientele right there.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate that. Mine was, I was in the Napoleon Dynamite Hot Rod.
Oh yeah.
Hot Rod. Okay. Hot Rod might be the most quotable movie for me. Or Anchorman. I don't know, but I don't know what
I need to go watch Hot Rod again. That's a doozy.
It's Heart of a Bottlenose Dolphin. The people that are listening to this right now, this is how everyone felt about whenever I hadn't seen Back to the Future.
Yeah.
I feel that way about Hot Rod. I'm like, I pretty much have the movie memorized.
I need to go see it again. And Napoleon Dynamite, that's a shared one though. I remember watching that in movie theaters, and I watched it once, and I'm like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. Then I watched it again, and it started to get funny.
Yeah, I had an older sister, so she kind of introduced me to the cool things, before they were, Beanie Babies, those types of things.
Absolutely,
yeah, of
huge
course.
collection, huge collector.
Well. And that was before the internet was a big thing. So you're looking up, you're like, this one's worth $1,000, and you don't know that.
No,
somebody probably wouldn't even pay that, but you are protecting the tag, and your friend's mom bends it or something, and now it doesn't work. You're like, that's not worth $1,000 anymore.
Yeah.
So
there's probably someone listening right now that has a giant Beanie Baby collection that they've been waiting to skyrocket in value.
Okay,
again.
I will say this: I have hit the age where my parents just dropped off a couple. Totes of stuff.
Yeah, from their attic.
From their attic. That is my stuff. So now we have to
sort through it all.
Either throw it away, and I did sort through it, and it is. I think I have a problem because I kept a lot of it.
Oh, you're that guy.
Yeah, I think so.
Pack rat.
And I'm not. I'm a get rid of it all. But when it was my stuff as a kid, and some of it is I've got some
that's how hoarding starts.
I think so. I've got some Beanie Babies. I've got some collection of cards, and I'm like, maybe I'm going to sell these one day. Maybe I'll.
What kind of cards? Like sports cards?
Yeah, sports cards.
Oh, let me take a look at those.
Okay.
There's a couple of guys in North Point too. A couple of North Pointers that are heavy sports card collectors that would be interested in.
I'll give you a deal, but you can't take a look at them before I give them to you. So, but cool thousand. I'll take them off my hands.
Well, you never know these days. Me and my boys were into collecting football cards, so. Yeah, my boys got into it, so then I got into it.
Oh, well, that's how that works.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Okay, we are talking about something today.
Let's go.
Okay. All right. Okay. I am curious. Again, we're getting to know each other. North Point's getting to know you. You're getting to know North Point.
Yeah.
Are you a New Year's resolution guy?
I'm not really. I'm a have goals guy.
Okay.
But they're more just ongoing goals. And then I sort of, when things hit certain limits, I'm like, get it together, Williams. And I just change habits to get back where I want to be. So if that's money, health, whatever. So I don't really respond. This is probably not a good trait, but I probably respond better to negative reinforcement. Something bad happened, then I buckle down and I'm like, okay, not happening. You know? So yeah, the New Year's Eve normally I'm like, well, you kind of have any time of year to like set a goal. If it's time to make a change, just make the change. Like, don't wait till January, you know? So that kind of makes me, I don't know what that makes me, but yeah, I don't normally actually set like New Year's resolutions. I don't have like a word of the year, those sorts of things. I have like goals I just want to hit in life. So,
okay, give me a health goal.
For me, yeah, my doctor once, like I came in and he was like, bend over. He's like, can you touch your toes? I was like, yes. He's like, show me.
I didn't know where you were going.
I almost got
when
spicy.
You told me, I was like, "Is this a quote from Waterboy?"
Yeah.
I don't
this
know.
Is Waterboy?
Okay.
No, yeah.
Okay.
Different doctor.
Okay.
But yeah, he's like, touch your toes. And I'm like, why? And he's like, I just want to see that you can. And he's like, you need to stay being able to do that. And he was like, healthcare system's going to go like downhill. Like that's his, maybe he's doom and gloom, but he was like, as you get older, there's going to be less and less like medical care is not going in the right direction in our country. And he gave me a whole lecture on like BMI and jean sizes, like the whole thing. He was like, whatever pant size you're wearing now, you need to stay in that.
Oh.
So for whatever reason, like that stuck with me. I was probably like mid-late 30s and it's like, all right, so I wear the same size jeans I wore in high school. But that's like one of my things. So I don't know how much I weigh. But I know that as soon as so that's my negative reinforcement. It's like when my jeans start getting tight, I'm like, get it together, Williams. And it's like, I start eating better and exercising more. And it's like, okay.
So you can touch your toes?
Yeah.
Prove it. People are watching right now. People are watching. You're still in the frame. Okay, let's see it. Yeah. Let's see it.
There we go.
All right, that was impressive.
Locked knees,
touch
toes. All because the doctor told me. Yeah, you gotta lock. Can you do it?
You're kind of like whatever the doctor says, you're gonna do that, huh?
For the most part.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, basically, whatever keeps me not going back to the doctor.
That makes sense.
So it's like try to keep my BMI in check and.
Okay, so you've got like a health goal. That makes sense. That's pretty loose. Like financial goal.
Yeah, I got a lot of like financial goals. So I got really big into financial, personal finance stuff when I was young. Partly because. A couple things too. I was raised as a pastor's kid, so it's a lucrative job, make a bunch of money. Just
absolutely, poor. I mean, cheap.
What? So it was one of those things where we had enough. God always provided, but it was like one of those things where like, man, I'd really like to be able to. I think you have kids too. You're like, I want to provide more. And so, but we had our first. We had Silas. He's 14 now. Kristen was still working. She had a photography and graphic design business, and I had a kind of entry level like job, Monday through Friday thing at T-Mobile, analyst role. But we didn't make it. Like we lived in this little tiny apartment, and I was like, well, I want to move out and get a house because now I'm going to be a dad. And so, stretched to buy a house and this whole thing. So really, we had to go like Dave Ramsey mode, basically cut down everything. So same thing, like no cable TV, no anything we didn't have to have.
You didn't have the Disney Channel anymore?
No, I lost my Disney Channel. We had the TV antenna outside.
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
Yeah, so that's what we
arranged that.
Yeah, I was like, we're not going to spend $50 a month on cable. So like really every dollar counted, and it's like now I got to pay for diapers and this and that. And so once we started having kids, I really started to ratchet down, and then I wanted to understand like how do I maximize this. So that's when I got on like the kind of the Dave Ramsey personal investment side of things of like, okay. And then I had a 401k like at T-Mobile that I started when I was like 20 something. Mm-hmm. And so I started to see like the magic of compound interest. And I'm like, okay, there's a 60-year-old version of me that's going to really thank 22-year-old me for not touching that 401k and letting it compound. And so for me, I got really passionate about understanding debt, understanding investments, like, and how to do basic things. A lot of times we try to make things scarier than they are to give ourselves an excuse not to do it. So for me, investing in personal finance, that became a goal of mine is like, hey, how do I make sure that I'm taking care of when I'm older? And then for me, like even for Kristen, I'm like, hey, I want to make sure that when we're older, we're good, And so really learning to say no to material things and say yes to basic investments. And then when you watch that, over years, it makes a difference on things. So really like learning, and it's mental and it's emotional. I read a book called How to Be Richer, Smarter, and Better Looking Than Your Parents by Zach Bissonette. I don't know if I would even recommend that book.
Whoa.
But basically he talks about
what a title.
He talks about, he's a young guy. So he's like, hey, like how to be like better off than your parents. Cause like a lot of people, that's what they want to do. And that's, but yeah, he just talked about the psychology of money in that book. And so he was like, he's like these things like you go to the mall and you pick up the shoe off the shelf at Foot Locker. And he just talked about like, look at it, understand that you could buy it. And he had this whole mental thing he'd go through. He's like, and then have the power to put it back and walk out of the store. He's like, you still satisfy the psychological thing of the purchase by just knowing that you could, but then you have the power to say no. And so I think whether it's like, health, money, most of them is just your ability to overcome your flesh and say no to what you want now to say yes to what you want more.
Yeah, like I could run a marathon. but like, and I've looked at it, I pictured it,
Yeah.
I thought about it,
Yeah.
and then I just said, but you know what?
I don't want to.
I've already got that satisfaction
Yeah.
of just knowing I could.
Yeah, exactly. So why do it?
And if somebody just gave me the sticker
Yeah.
that I put on my car, I'd be like, I basically did it.
I might do that. I might find 26.2 stickers and put it in the back of the old Toyota there.
What was there's always that joke like, let's pretend if we did, but let's not. And
Yeah.
my joke was always, let's pretend we didn't and not.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm just not going to do that.
That goes back to the New Year's resolutions, you know? Like, you need to run a marathon? No, I don't need to. I don't need to do that. Yeah.
Okay, were you ever a New Year's resolution guy? Like at one point in time, you're like, I'm going to really get serious about this. And then you just realize like, dude, I'm not going to come back to this 6 months from now and think about it. And,
I don't know if I ever really, I think, I've done certain things like fitness challenges or whatever, but you don't stick with it. Like, what are the stats on New Year's resolutions? Because a lot of times you have over-ambitious goals. And so to me, it's like, instead of like, this is going to sound like maybe smarter than I actually am, but instead of like saying, I'm going to go do this, it's like most of my goal setting is like, now who do I want to be? Right. And if I go be that kind of person, then what I do will catch up to it. But it's like, man, I want to be more disciplined. But if I'm like, I want to run a marathon, but I'm not committed to the personal character of discipline, it doesn't matter what I say I'm going to do. Yeah. You know, that's a who am I going to be question. So I think a lot of people set goals on all these things they're going to go do. And that's why mid-February, the gym's empty again, you know? And so, but for me, it's like, well, my B is like, I wanted to be able to keep up with my kids when they got into sports, you know, and I want to do everything that I can, like God willing, to like be in good health in old age. Cause like you see that too, where it's like, man, that matters. And so for me, like the gene size thing is not like a humble brag. It's like, well, no, I actually want to make sure that, staying out of the healthcare system as much as possible as I age. That might have
that actually helps you hit your financial goal too.
Yeah, no, that's the other thing too. Is like I talked to a financial advisor, and he was like, because that was my big passion for a lot of years, was investing in like all those things, and he was like, the biggest expenses you have in your senior years the biggest one is healthcare. So he's like, if you've made a bunch of money and done all the right financial decisions, but you haven't taken your body, you're going to lose every dollar that you made taking care of your health care, and then you're miserable either way. So health and wealth, like those are two things that I think, that matter to me. So
I think there's a bunch of people that are probably creating some goals right now. And I don't think that's bad, right? Whether you call them resolutions, whether you call them goals, it's trying to just, hey, make sure this can be a lifestyle, not a ambitious, what can I accomplish? How quickly can I accomplish this thing but my other thing is this, there's probably some people out here that are saying, hey, I have a spiritual goal, or how would I even approach that? Like it's natural to have a financial goal. It's natural to have a health goal or a fitness goal or something like that, or a goal weight. Yeah. But it's a little bit different when it's like spiritually. Yeah. How do you approach having a goal around that, or a mindset around that, or what kind of goes through your head?
Yeah. I think, human nature, or human design, it's body, soul, spirit. So I always think like you have your physical body, you have your soul, which is your mind, will, and emotions. That's your thought life, your heart, like, what are you feeling, your will. Like your will lives at that second layer, right? Everyone has a will. It's the want to. It's the thing that follows you around and gives you bad advice. You know, buy this, do that, go there, and it's like, then you're spending money.
You're a sucker for you. Yeah,
yeah,
you
absolutely.
Do it yourself.
Yep, yeah, and so that's like your will. So like that's at the soul level, and I think the deepest level of a person is the spirit, right? So like that's where that's what comes alive at salvation, is like we're born again. Like Jesus tells Nicodemus, like that whole story, and so so being born again, like your spiritual man. I try to think of it similar as the physical body, right? Like if I'm going to work out in the physical, right? Like we all know the 3 things that we should do to take care of our physical body. It's like, less calories, more exercise, more water, that whole thing. And I think sometimes we try to overcomplicate the spiritual man. And it's like, no, your spiritual man has the same 3 or 4 things you do to grow the spirit, right? The Bible talks consistently about walking in the spirit, being filled with the spirit, like being spirit led, being spirit filled. These are like words that say like the inner spiritual man that you have. How do you grow that in discipline? How do you grow that in how you do it? And I think it sounds very like churchy, but like there are the 5 habits we have at North Point help you grow your spiritual man, So getting daily integration of scripture, and whether that's physically opening your Bible every day and reading, being aware of his spirit. So what does your prayer life look like? Are you inviting God's presence into your day to day, And so I think, when you feel physically sick or physically out of shape, you're like getting winded going up and down the stairs, or like the jeans are getting tight, you're like, you know, you should feel that in your spirit too.
I've eaten out like the last 4 meals.
Yeah.
And I don't feel great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I feel disgusting.
There's always cookies sitting on the counter, and I have taken advantage of that. Yeah, I don't feel good.
Yeah, willpower, not there. Yeah, but I think, you know, like we all have felt that physically. We're like, I gotta do something different here. I think as a Christian believer, you should be in tune with when your spirit feels the same way, where like spiritually you feel dry, you feel parched, you feel, you know, last 4 weeks we've been talking about hope and joy and peace. And it's like, if you don't have any of those things in your life, if you don't have any of the fruit of the Spirit, right? So your spiritual man, your spiritual being should have fruit coming off of that tree. And that fruit should look like love, joy, peace, kindness, goodness, gentleness, self-control. Like those things should all be growing inside of you, you know? And if you don't have those things, that's when you start to feel like, just anemic spiritually. You're like, I'm just running the race like everybody else. And it's like, that's when the striving and you get worn out, and it's like, where's my well? Is my well, you know, the well of your spirit is like the thing that you got to grow. And so I think having goals there makes sense. And it does come down to disciplines. We talked about Bible reading and prayer and investing in other people. For me, like giving, like for me, I just get selfish. I get self-absorbed. I get where I'm just thinking about myself all the time and how hard my problems are. And this, you know, like it's self. And it's like, how you break that spiritually is you get up and you go serve somewhere, you volunteer, you know, like, you know, do something for somebody that can't do anything. Like you go give of yourself to someone else. And sometimes that's the thing that sort of that's the spiritual weightlifting of like, okay, I'm going to reorient my inner man around God and not around myself, you know? So I think there's like those areas you should have trigger warnings inside of you. And you're like, pants are getting too tight, you know, or bank account getting too low. You should have a spiritual sensitivity that says, I'm feeling super dry. Like I'm not being who God made me to be. I'm not proud of how I'm treating my wife lately. I've been grumpy towards my kids a lot. That's a spiritual thing. You know, so to me, I think about that as what are those warning signs you got?
Yeah, we can always make excuses. No, that's just a environment thing. No, that's just a work is busy thing. That's but like, no, like there is a deeper thing that's going on there.
For sure.
There's a spiritual side to that. And it is funny. You brought up the fruits of the Spirit. And I'll never forget. It was like one of my first girlfriends that I had, and I met one of her good friends. It was like a meetup type of deal of like, hey, I want my best friend who lives out of town to meet you. Yeah, and I was like, yeah, I'm game. Yeah. So we meet, and because the friend's like, I need to vet this guy, make sure he's a cool guy. Well, she was like. Her friend was very religious, very religious, and so one of the questions she asked me was, what fruit of the Spirit do you struggle with the most? and there's a piece of me that wanted to be like, could you tell me the fruits of the Spirit again?
Yeah.
Because do you have
a menu?
Because the one I'm remembering right now is self-control.
Yeah.
And that's the one I don't want to say.
Yeah.
I'm like, of all the things, I'm like that. And I was like, I'm pretty sure patience is one of patience.
Yeah.
You know, I just I was like, what a weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, so which one do you struggle with the most?
Yeah, which one do you struggle with the most? Yeah.
But it is fascinating, kind of what you were mentioning, is there's something in your life that naturally wants to take the throne. There's something always. That naturally wants, you kind of mentioned, like, I'm selfish sometimes. And when I had kids, I realized every selfish bone in your body is revealed.
100%.
It doesn't mean it changes, but it is revealed. And you now know, and you get to deal with that. And similar, you know, to some of these goals, I find in my life, oftentimes it's greed. It's that like, I have more financial goals than any other goal.
Yeah.
And that's interesting.
Yeah.
And what's good is always like recreating some of those goals during this time to say, okay, well, I know I've got all this goal of like, how much money do I want to hoard and keep and have for my future? And none of that's bad, but it can be.
Yeah.
And anytime I can say there's an antidote to that, and that's generosity. Yeah. And what is that antidote to greed, generosity? How can I create a generosity goal? Right. That would be around that. That would counteract maybe some of that, the natural thoughts and feelings and emotions that would take the throne in my life. And I just imagine there's probably some people listening here that you've got things that take the throne. And how can you create goals that, that basically sort of reverse that?
Yeah.
Have you ever had to do anything like that in your life?
Yeah. I mean, I think, as you were saying that, I'm like, yeah, like that greed thing, that is the anecdote is like, wait a minute, you start to realize, hey, none of it's mine to begin with. And like, God, thank you for the blessing. And it's like thankfulness, I think is even just a big part for me. Cause I just get anxious. I get worried. And it's like, and so for me, one of my things, or even like depressed, like I've had like bouts with some of that stuff over the years. And so I've had to learn to be thankful. And it's like, it's that same concept. It's like, no, I have to actually give thanks, and like gratitude journal and those sorts of things because I'm allowing, it's a self-centered mindset that creeps inside of me. And I'm so inward focused, and it's like, I'm putting, to your point, you're putting self on the throne in certain ways. And I throw a pity party for myself in my head, and so those are things where it's like, no, I need to get thankful. I need to go actually express gratitude, And so, and even for me, like worship is like a big part of it, like worship music. Like if you're in my car, like 80% of the time it's like worship music playing and I'm singing along with it in the car by myself because
what's the other 20%?
Country music.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
What?
In the summertime. Yeah. I didn't listen to country music at all. I hated it until I moved to Missouri.
Wow.
But then I used to drive up West Bypass every day to work and there was like the baled hay on the side and like the Tractor Supply store on the right. And I'm like, then all of a sudden I had this urge. I wanted to get a pickup truck, and I'm like, what is happening to me? It's happening. I started saying y'all.
You would look good in a cowboy hat.
Nah.
Yeah.
So country, I also like 90s rap.
Yeah. I approve.
Yeah.
The country part I don't.
Yeah. 90s rap, I'll get into that. So like give me a Tupac, Biggie, those ones. Old Snoop Dogg from back
to the
in
glory
day.
days?
Back to the glory days. Yeah.
All
Again,
right.
go back to my era, from when I was like 16 to 25,
Here we go.
Yeah, that was
okay, so usually worship music in the car.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I go from Snoop Dogg to like Elevation. Just kidding. But yeah, no, it's like to me but part of that is a discipline. It's because I know that I need to remind that is my spirit, my spiritual man, reminding my soul who's on the throne. So my want to, my thought patterns, my emotion, how I feel, all those things are great flavors, but they're horrible drivers, And so I gotta, who's driving? Like if you're spirit led, you have to have your spirit in the driver's seat of your life and your inner world. And so for me, like if you can't sing worship songs in your car by yourself, and like I'll go for it. Like if you see me driving, I'm normally going for it. But it's like I'm singing these lyrics to remind my soul. I'm like going to glorify God. I'm going to put Him on the throne of my heart and be like, God, you're worthy. You're worthy of my worship. And it's thankfulness, and it's like the Bible talks about psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs like growing within you. And so, to me, that's something where like I have to have that song inside of me. And I can't really describe it, but I know that what that does is like it pushes down my want to, it pushes down my thoughts, it pushes down my feelings, and says like, God's God, I'm not. Let's get after the day, And so I'm a highly motivated person. I'm a highly driven person. But it's I don't really line out like New Year's goals as much as I probably could or should, but it really is like, hey, check my climate, how's my body doing? How's my thought life doing? Is my will in check? And you can check your will by where are you spending money and where are you spending time, and then am I cultivating a spiritually strong person? What you feed grows.
Yeah.
And if your flesh is a 5,000 pound gorilla and your, spirit man is anemic, it's like you're going to lose. In moments of temptation, you're going to lose. In moments of willpower, you're going to lose. But if you can grow that spiritual man, it begins to counterbalance that. So it's kind of sort of basic to talk about, but there are just basic practices you can put inside to grow yourself.
Well, yeah, and I really think it's helpful to just like picture it. Yeah. Because when you think about your life and you really the whole goal is kind of, hey, do an audit of your life. Like what is ruling your calendar? What is ruling your heart and your mind?
Yeah.
What is the thing that you just like, man, I can't get that out.
Yeah.
Or sometimes we're experts for everyone else's problems, but when it comes to our problems, it's like I don't see a way out. I don't see a way forward. Mm-hmm. But when you're able to clarify that of kind of what you talked about is like, hey, you've got spirit and you've got flesh. Mm-hmm. You've got those two things that are at, and one is what I desire and another is what God desires.
Yeah.
And how do I get to know God's desires?
Yeah.
So what would it look like to integrate some scripture daily? Whether that's a verse that you memorize and you take with you all week. Like that's like sometimes sitting down and reading the Bible is fantastic and that's so helpful.
Right.
And other times it's taking a passage with you and being like, I'm integrating this into my day. I'm actually going to live this passage. I'm actually going to memorize this passage. It's memorable. It's formational. It's repeatable. And saying, how do you do that? And when it comes to, and then how do I align with that? Right. Yeah. So that there's so many fleshly things that I want to do that I think would be cool to do that honestly they're not bad,
right?
But they're my desires.
Yeah.
And just saying, okay, what are God's desires? How do I align myself with that? And you just create a different life. And and I don't know if you're this way. I've got a little bit of I think it's sometimes you can do some of these goals to an unhealthy amount where, it's hard to rest. It's hard to get to a spot where you slow down because you feel like everyone else is moving forward, but but you're not. Like, I don't know. Have you battled a lot of that? Are you that might be every young guy or gal's journey?
Yeah. Well, it's the comparison thing, right? Where it's like you measure yourself against everyone else's race. And it's like, at the end of the day, you're accountable for what God's called you to do. What is, and you talked about it last week, but like knowing what is God's general will. And it's like, I know what his will for me is as a husband and a father. And it's like those two alone keep me pretty busy, and so, you can't really like compare to everyone else at all. Comparison is the thief of joy. It'll kill you, and so the go, you have to get off the hamster wheel at a certain point. There's probably the story from the other day, but like one of my life-altering moments was I had a full-on like panic attack in the office one day. It was in October 2019. Ended up getting driven to the hospital, the whole thing. They're like, you're physically fine, but you're stressed out. That's what put me into Christian counseling. And so I started seeing Dr. Frizzle, who's I think a friend of North Point on the South Side, just for a stretch of time, Thursday nights, like on his couch, and he helped unwind me and see why I was so driven to achieve, why I was so driven to try to perform, and it was never enough, and I was addicted to the praise of people. And every time I'd start talking, I would start saying things like, well, I should be doing this and I should be doing that, and then he would say this, and I can still hear it in his voice. He'd be like, Drew, you're shooting all over yourself.
Absolutely.
And that really, for whatever, that just stuck with me of like realizing, okay, I'm actually loved by God. Like he likes me. He wired me the way I am. And I don't actually have to impress other people. I don't have to get the praises of people to have the approval of God. And like, I knew that academically, but something in my heart had been lodged in there for years and years. And so I don't know, like how I fully got down that, but like the comparison and the achievement, I still want to achieve great things, but it's also like, I want to stay in my lane. I want to function in my gifting, and I want to do what God's called me to do, not do what I think is going to get the most praises from people.
Yes.
And when I catch myself mentally doing that, I'll still hear Dr. Frizzle's voice, Drew, you're shooting all over yourself. Like I should be doing this and I should be doing that. And I should, and that's like this self-deprecating thing that's kind of, you're sort of beating yourself into submission into like this thing, and you're never going to be good enough for that thing. So anyway, I think for me, like that was an altering thing for me where I really, something in me in that season broke where I realized the praises of people will never be enough. And that might satisfy your soul in certain ways because it feels good to hear a good job, and there's nothing wrong with, you should do a great job. But you can grow your soul and think that you're growing your spirit. And that's probably a whole nother like topic for another day, but like understanding the difference, like Hebrews says, the word of God divides between spirit and soul. And like for a lot of believers, they haven't learned the difference between the two. And so they think that if I just have a better attitude or self-discipline myself enough or have better feelings, then I'm getting closer to God. And it's like, there's some good things in there, but that's actually, you can be very soul-led as a Christian, and you'll end up losing the flesh battles because you actually weren't spirit led. And I think there's like, that's a whole nother thing for another day, but learning like what is actually leading and guiding my life. And is it really spirit filled living where I'm aware of God's spirit and walking in the spirit, as the main driver of my life, and that's where you find peace and joy in life in the midst of setting and achieving hard goals, in the midst of having great plans for your life and, getting, losing the weight or building the muscle or saving more money. Those are all good things, but like those won't bring you joy and peace into themselves. It's the Spirit of God in you that you grow that, So those things can help you with certainly the environment. It's hard to have a lot of joy when you got a lot of debt. It's hard to have a lot of peace when your body's not in good shape, but that stuff, it all sort of ties together. Just you're a 3-layer human, body, soul, spirit, so I think for me, like I'm always looking to how do I lead with spirit and then know what my soul is when I see it, because most of my soul is my desires that are the unredeemed ones are, going to go grab a brownie on the way out of here, and go spend money on something I don't need and, that. But
I'll just look at it and be like, I could,
but I won't.
And I won't.
Yeah.
And I won't.
Yeah. I still remember that from that book.
Somebody said that.
I don't even remember that book's any good. I just remember that one thing. And I remember actually going to a Foot Locker one time.
Did you really?
I did it. And I was like, okay, I could spend $100 on these shoes that I don't need. I'm a shoe guy. Well, I'm not as much as I used to be. When Kristen and I got married, I had like 35 pairs of shoes, and she had like 3.
What?
Yeah, I worked at a shoe store.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait.
So
Foot Locker or where?
no, it was just an independent shoe store in Albuquerque. So when I was in high school, that was my job. So I did so I could get all shoes at cost. So I would like just I would load up at half price shoes. So then I just got used to always having tons of shoes.
Do you still have that hookup?
No, I wish.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's been a long gone. But anyway, yeah, I remember like going there and being like, I could buy these. That was my thing, is I was wasting money on shoes that I didn't need, but I was like, I can, but I won't. And like putting it back. And so I still catch myself doing that. Like, okay, imagine yourself having that. Imagine yourself enjoying that. You could, but then but I'm going to choose not to. So that book stuck that with me. And he was like, it still does something for your brain. It satisfies some part of your craving without actually spending the money.
Well, I think the whole thing we've been talking about is it's different. Outside in is different than inside out.
Yeah.
And oftentimes when it's the shoes, it's the car, it's those types of things. It's to impress people you don't even know. And it's outside. It's the outside in. It's how do I impress the people I don't know? And I'm honestly the least authentic around the people that know me the most, right?
Yeah.
Because they know all my bad things. They know all the things I messed up in. And how can I even be honest with them? They know it, right?
Yeah.
I can't fool them. But it's so beautiful when the people that know you the most or know you the best respect you the most.
Yeah.
And that's the inward, hey, I'm not here to impress the people on the outside. It's not the shoes. It's not those things, but the inside. It's an inside job.
Yeah.
It's an inside job.
Inside job. That's a sermon series. Coming 26.
Here we
26.
Go. Oh, yeah. All right. Put it in the bank.
Yeah. The memory bank. Yeah. 100%, man. I agree. And it's closing the gap between who you say you are and who you actually are. And that is a spiritual thing. Like you grow your spirit, man, and you begin to become who you say that you are. And like, there's nothing like a clean conscience with God. No amount of shoes or brownies are going to give you the peace of just a clean conscience with God and the people who know you best. They're like, they see integrity, right? It's like integrity is an architecture term. It's like they know the building's on firm foundation because of what you see is what you get. And like, so I just think about like that clean conscience, closing the gap. It's like, I may have more or less money in the bank or more or less fitness, but like, hey, I am who I aspire to be, and I am who I say that I am. And like honesty with yourself and the person in the mirror, and be like, this is where I'm really at. And then accepting God's grace and forgiveness and his empowerment to go change, So yeah, I think I really lived an outside in Christian life for a big part of my life up until that 2019 day. And I really do think that like God changed my life by sending me to the emergency room one day. And I thought I was dying, and it wasn't. It was just something in my flesh was dying because God killed it, That'll preach, brother.
Yeah, that really
preach.
will. Oh, my word. Well, Riff Raff.
Street rat.
What's the rest of it?
I don't buy that. If only they'd look closer. Someone here is going to get that. Yeah.
Maybe.
Aladdin. Aladdin.
Man, I think I've seen that.
Hey, my genre for Disney is Little Mermaid, Aladdin, Lion King.
I always pegged you as a Little Mermaid guy.
Yeah,
that makes
absolutely.
Sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Look at this stuff. Isn't it neat?
Oh my, keep going. I don't know
Wouldn't you think my collection's complete?
What are we doing here? I like this. Honestly, sing along with Drew.
Yeah.
It's a sing along.
Hey, if we go to a karaoke place, what are you doing?
Well, honestly, and I made fun of your I want to say cowboy music, but country. It is a country song.
Which one? Friends in Low Places?
No, I don't know what's appropriate. I don't know what's not. Don't look this song up. But Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy.
Yeah,
that's the one. I mean, that's the one. That's the like. Here's what it is. It's in my range, and I could belt it out.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
And I know it word for word.
You bash me for listening to country music 20% of the time.
It's the one song.
And now all North Point's going to picture a cowboy hat belting out. Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy. I was on vacation last week. We were at a karaoke party. I did a Justin Bieber song.
Oh, I respect that.
Yeah,
big
I did the
Bieber
Biebs.
fan.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
one? One Less Lonely Girl.
No, I did.
Baby.
I did Love Yourself. It's that cool kind of vibey one.
That would.
My Mama Don't Like You.
How'd that go over?
It was vibey. It was all right.
Okay.
It was okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just got inspired because we were listening to Bieber on the way in. I was just playing. I'm like, I'll do a Bieber song. And actually, I did it because my son will do karaoke, my oldest. So I'm like, hey, if you're doing one, I'll do one. So we both did one. I also 90s rap is normally where I go, but it was a family establishment that we were at, and I'm like, I cannot do Snoop Dogg or Puff Daddy now.
Yeah.
Vanilla Ice I could probably pull off.
Bieber's, you definitely could. Bieber's good. Bieber's a good one. Bieber's good. Or I like to go like high female falsetto voice, and then no one thinks I'm taking it seriously, but I actually sound kind of good.
Oh.
Yeah. It's just, I got the range, so I don't know what to say. So thank you, Riff. We love you. We'll see you. Comment your go-to song, and we might. Drew will probably sing one next episode.
One of us will karaoke the songs that you leave in the comments.
Sounds good. We'll see you.
Thanks for listening to this episode of The Riff. We'll have a brand new episode every week, wherever you find podcasts.